You open a dating app at night and tell yourself you're just checking, but before you choose anyone, the app has already chosen the shape of your attention. A human being does not appear to you as a human being first, they appear as a profile. A face becomes a signal, and a message becomes proof that you still exist somewhere inside another person's desire. That is why modern dating feels so stupid and so powerful at the same time. It is shallow enough to insult your intelligence, but intimate enough to touch the wound underneath it. And because it touched the wound, people defend it very quickly. They say, I'm just choosing freely. Well, if that is how you define freedom, why does a person who is truly free need to defend every chained hunger as if it came from the sacred center of the self? That is the topic of this episode. The first episode defined sex flow. Cash flow keeps the economy breathing. Sex flow keeps the modern person emotionally in motion. Today, I want to show how modern dating made desire liquid. Not that desire became deeper or wiser, but because it became easier to move. And what becomes liquid can be moved. Cash flow manages the visible side of capitalism. Rent due on the first payroll on Friday, a credit card bill you pretend not to open. That is the material bloodstream. Sex flow manages the invisible side, loneliness and the little panic of not being wanted. That is the hidden emotional bloodstream. Let's use the left brain and right brain as a symbolic map here. We can put it like this. The left brain aligns with cash flow that is easy to see, but the right brain aligns with sex flow that is hidden underneath. Cash flow is easy to see. It shows up in bills, rent, payroll, debt. Sex flow is harder to name. It moves through loneliness before people even call it desire. Modern capitalism does not only need your labor to move through the economy, the algorithm only understands motion, so let's give it the wrong kind of motion. Hit like if the frame helps, and comment where you think one of your desires was trained. Now look at the structure. Stable intimacy is slow. It needs the boring parts too. Remembering what hurt, apologizing badly, trying again the next morning. Liquid desire is fast. It moves from image to image before the soul has enough time to ask what it is looking for. That is why the app is not just a tool. The tool has a worldview. Its worldview is simple. Whatever can be shown can be compared, and whatever can be compared can be circulated. Modern people think they escaped old control because nobody arranged their marriage anymore. Great. A lot of old control deserved to die, but old control dying does not automatically mean freedom was born. Sometimes the command just becomes prettier. In older system, power often named itself openly. Concubine, mistress, arrangement, possession, power did not always bother to hide its name. Today, the vocabulary changed. Now everyone is free, but sometimes freedom just means the contract became invisible. I'm not saying the old names were automatically better. Many old systems, when they became problematic, were cruel and suffocating. My point is more than nostalgia. Modern power became more elegant. It learned to hide inside choice. Adam Smith has a line in The Wealth of Nations: the sole use of money is to circulate consumable goods. It is not a dating code, that is a money code. But listen to the structure underneath it. Money is not the meal, money is what moves the meal. Madame Smith would say the sole use of sex flow is to circulate emotional goods. That is my translation to show what a female version of Smith would say. Desire is not always the final object. Sometimes desire is the medium that moves loneliness, status, shame, and validation from one place to another. That is why modern dating can feel active while leaving people strangely untouched. So many things happen. Profiles change, messages alive, bodies are displayed, people flirt, vanish, return, and explain themselves with therapy language. But underneath all that motion, the person may not be becoming more capable of love. They may simply be becoming more available to circulation. This is where fake freedom enters. The modern world tells you that you can want whatever you want. It rarely asks where the wanting came from. It also tells you that you can become anyone while quietly pushing everyone toward the same forms of visibility. It tells you that you are liberated now, but that liberation often requires constant optimization of your face, your profile, and the version version of yourself that seems easiest to want. That is not always freedom. Sometimes it is the market obedience with better lighting. Social media sells visibility as liberation, but visibility is not sovereignty. If your freedom requires constant display, then the system has not simply liberated you, it has made you easier to prize. Once a person is uprooted from home, tradition, stable community, and deeper meaning, they do not automatically become free. They become dependent on whatever can coordinate life after meaning has been removed. Usually that means money, platforms, attention, and the market's permission to be seen. That is why dating and capitalism fit each other so well. Dating apps and capitalism share one instinct. They both get nervous when people stop moving. A stable person is less profitable. A stable relationship lowers market dependence. A person who can remain within their loneliness instead of immediately seeking distraction becomes less easy to manipulate, not because they are uptight, but because they are no longer easy to circulate. Men and women are both captured here, but not through the same door. Men are often captured through money, status, performance, sexual proof, and the fear of becoming irrelevant. Women are often captured through youth, beauty, sexual visibility, emotional labor, romantic validation, and the fear of becoming replaceable. The system costs both of these freedom. In its crudest form, the machine tells men freedom means consumption and tells women freedom means display. Both may simply be standing on opposite sides of the same machine. This does not mean men and women are the same. It means the machine is smart enough to use their wounds differently. That is why low-level gender war is boring. It mistakes the symptom for the architecture. In Chinese internet language these days, people now talk about emotion as emotional value. For example, someone might comment about a colleague, he's really good for providing emotional value, usually referring to someone who makes others feel cared for or emotionally supported. That phrase is almost too honest, reducing humans to mere tools. Even your ability to make another person feel less empty becomes a function, not a humane thing to do. Cash asks whether you can produce. Sex finds out if you're wanted. Emotional value is even harsher. Can you, as a machine, reduce another unit's perceived empty metric within a short period of time? That is why modern relationships feel like two people outsourcing their inner disorder to each other. One person provides attention, the other provides validation. Both call it connection. Maybe it is, but if the connection only works while both people keep feeding each other's insecurity, it is not love yet. It is emotional circulation. Now bring in Hyman Minsky. Minsky has a famous line, everyone can create money. The problem is to get it accepted. He was talking about money, but the structure translates perfectly. Madame Minsky would say, everyone can create desire. The problem is to get it recognized. This is modern dating. Everyone can perform desirability. The problem is getting that performance accepted by the market of attention. You can post the photo, tune the prompt, and learn exactly how healed you are supposed to sound. But the question remains brutal. Did the market accept it? Did someone want you back? Did the signal return? That is why rejection hurts more than people admit. It is not that one person did not choose you. It is the invisible market seemed to mark down your value for a second. And modern people hate admitting that because it makes their freedom look less noble. They prefer to say, I'm just seeing what's out there. But often what is out there is also inside them, already installed. This is where the zombie worldview protects itself. The zombie worldview does not ask whether they really use dating apps as their own choice. It just optimizes their profiles, improves their techniques for talking to girls, and jumps from one bed to another because their hearts are hardened. And then more metaphysical allergy appears whenever people ask a deeper question. The educated face smiles a little. It says, you are overthinking dating. But sometimes your overthinking just means, please do not disturb the machine I'm using to avoid myself. Requiring measurable or obvious proof is not the enemy here. The problem begins when the measurable becomes the only real. Then love gets flattened into chemistry, desire into preference, and loneliness into screen time. And the soul becomes an embarrassing word people use only when irony is available. That is sarcastic intellectualism. It uses cynicism to protect a very fragile capacity for all. It keeps that capacity hidden by turning every moment of wonder into something to be dismissed or laughed away. The result is a strange kind of person. A person can know all the language, be perfectly searchable, and still not know what real dating is or what sacred love is. That is not intelligence, but a very sophisticated form of being moved. So here is the vessel for this episode. Intimacy makes you less available to the market because it gives desire a home. Liquid desire, that's the opposite. It keeps sending desire back outside, looking for another signal. And once you see that, modern dating starts to look less like a playground and more like a liquidity system for emotional hunger. The question is not whether dating apps are evil. That is too simple and reductionist. The question is whether the architecture trains people to keep desire movable, whether visibility has started to feel like freedom. Perhaps the modern person is just choosing or simply defending wounds that were installed well enough to feel personal. Maybe modern dating did not make desire freer. Perhaps it made desire faster, more searchable, more comparable, more liquid. And maybe that is why so many people can have more options than ever and less peace than they expected. When love loses form, desire does not become free. It becomes liquid, and what becomes liquid can be circulated.